guys, so you can show us how it's done.
I hope pro is the worst thing I get called this session. I'm kidding. Alexander Marks with the Nevada State Education Association, ALEXMARKS, the voice of Nevada educators for over 120 years. Well, it's only day 2. There's been a great discussion about public education, and we're very happy to see that. With the adoption of the new funding formula, a significant amount of Nevada's new revenue is being captured in the education fund. And while this is good news, it's important to note the severity of the issues our public schools are caused by chronic underfunding, as well as the work that remains in reaching that optimal funding. That's why NSEA has been saying it's time for 20. Time for 20 means a 20% raise for every Nevada educator, a $20 hour minimum wage in our schools, and an average class size of 20 students. Since the pandemic, educators have left their jobs in record numbers due to low pay and severely low morale. And at the midpoint of this school year, there are still thousands of school vacancies, with many more positions being covered by long-term substitutes, or in some rural areas, privately contracted virtual teachers. While there's rightly been a great discussion on the teacher shortage, Nevada schools also face a shortage of education support professionals, which are a critical component of family of educators in our schools who perform numerous critical functions in order for learning to take place. A December report from the Economic Policy Institute, a far quicker read than the Commission on School Funding's report, but also just as good, found that there's widespread national teacher shortage that's especially severe here in Nevada. They found the current shortage is not the result of an insufficient number of qualified teachers, but rather low pay and increasingly stressful work environments. The average pay differential between teachers and similar college graduates in the job has grown to 23.5%. We know how to fix this. We must address the 2 most pressing reasons for this shortage: the long-standing decline in the pay for educators and the level of stress. Education is a calling, and that was evident by all the educators on this committee who introduced themselves just a few minutes ago. But low pay and even lower levels of respect and support for Nevada's educators has hurt the effort to bring and keep professionals in our classrooms and on our school sites. With the resources available right now, we can change that path that we are on. We must invest in our educators. We must respect our educators. Time for 20 does both. My colleague Chris Daly will round out the budgetary talks as well. Thank you.
Isn't that thoughtful? So you do 2 minutes and he does 2 minutes. All right, there we go. Mr. Daly.
Madam Chair, Chris Daly, DALY, Nevada State Education Association. So Governor Lombardo recommended record investment in K-12 education, but as Guy Hobbs showed earlier, the funding proposed for next year is about $3,700 per pupil, less than the national average, and $4,700 below optimal as identified by APA. Instead of further closing this gap, the governor proposes holding money back that could be used for our schools. $1.6 billion in the rainy day fund and $733 million in the education stabilization fund. He also wants to spend $50 million on private school vouchers. We believe the wrong way to go when our public schools are still underfunded. With billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars available for public education right now and educator vacancies at crisis levels, the governor has made no proposal to address educator salaries. Contrast this with other states who have had similar issues and available resources. A year ago, New Mexico Governor Lujan Grisham announced an average raise of 20% for all New Mexico educators. Late last year, New Mexico saw a 34% drop in teacher vacancies, a direct result of the salary increases and investments in hardworking New Mexico educators. Nevada could see those same results, but it will take bold action and true investment. That's why NSEA has been calling on Nevada's elected leaders to fund Time for 20 time and time again. We have appointed 2 significant resources available. With billions of dollars in reserves, there's more than enough to cover a 20% across-the-board educator raise, estimated by the commission to cost about $650 million a year. Instead, dollars that could go to our schools are being stashed away. A proposal by legislative Democrats to add $250 million for educator raises represents a good down payment on Time for 20. However, due to the mechanics of the new funding formula, certain school districts still won't have the resources for any educator raises. This needs to be addressed because every Nevada educator deserves a raise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daly.